Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to day 2 of the Future of Meeting Symposium. But before we start, I'd first like to acknowledge the Ngunnawal and Ngambri people as traditional custodians of the land on which I'm speaking from, and pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and future. Today, we will hear from Professor Yuanyuan Zhou, Qualcomm Professor from the University of California, San Diego, scientist, engineer, entrepreneur. Her research interests are operating systems research in energy, reliability, and autonomy. She is the founder of 3 startup companies, and today she will tell us about how a student project turned into Hoover, platform we are meeting within today.
Hello, everyone. Good morning or good afternoon. I'm YY Zhou from UC San Diego, and also I'm a co-founder of Hoover. I really want to thank the organizer for giving me this great opportunity to share our journey from PhD students' pre-conference exercise into the full Hoover platform, the platform we use for this conference. Have you signed into Hoover yet? So we have both a web app and also mobile app. So if you have any feedback or any technical issues, just feel free to email support@hoover.com. Also in both the web app and the mobile apps, you have a way to actually input your feedback directly. We really appreciate your feedback because we're committed to continuously improve our platform. Don't worry, this is not going to be a marketing talk. So we're not going to this is not trying to advertise in Hoover or trying to push you advocate like your own conference to use Hoover. Of course, if you like it, feel free, to use Hoover, right? Actually, my real job is actually I'm currently a chair professor at the University of California, San Diego. Before UCSD, I was a tenured professor at the University of Illinois of Urbana-Champaign in computer science. I did my PhD from Princeton University. So as a academic, training PhD students and doing research and getting funding is actually my main job. So far, I have graduated 19 PhD students. In my research lab, I'm still advising 8 PhD students. So among my former, graduated PhD students, 6 of them are now also professors. They're, actually majority of them already have a tenure, and one of them is also a chair professor at, University of Chicago. So they actually, I'm really proud of them because they actually, they're doing really great research at those, top university. Just, name for example, send one student back to University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. And also my former student, who is now a chair professor at University of Chicago, she is also really a leader in our field too. And I think I also have another particular, I have actually another female students. So besides the one in University of Chicago, I also have placed one female student who is now a tenured associate professor at Purdue University, okay? So, and then I also have 13 other former students who are now in industry, such as Google, Facebook, and also several startups. So besides the training students, this is actually, as an academic, we also need to organize many conferences. So far I've chaired several major ACM, Usenix attribute conferences. If you're in computer science, you are probably familiar with the ACM. So last year I was at the ACM SOSP program co-chair, which is the #1 conference in operating systems. And a few years back, I was the chair for ACM IEEE ASPLOS, interdisciplinary conference between computer architecture, operating system, and programming languages. Okay, and then I've chaired a few others, before that. So I've also served in 50+ committees of all those, those research conferences. If you're in computer science, you know actually conferences are more important than journals. Majority conferences have a very low acceptance rate, like lower than 20%. And pretty much your project is to be almost fully ready, have a very solid evaluation results. When you submit the paper actually is pretty much is actually quite long, right? Many times when you convert it into journal format, is actually longer than the page limit required by journals. So this means actually attending conferences and presenting your work at conferences is really important in the computer science field. And this, so that's why we routinely take our students, PhD students, and the postdoc to conferences. So, you know, conferences is a good place to get feedback for our own research work, and also be informed about other people's work, and then maybe inspired from other, you know, their talks and from the hallway discussion. And many times we also find research collaborators at the conference as well. Particularly for PhD students, it's actually really important for them to attend the conferences to find the future jobs, especially academic jobs. If the students are interested in academia, it would be really nice for them at the conferences so they can go to faculty from other institutions to introduce themselves, to you know, tell them about their, you know, their work. So that's why every year in our like you know, flagship conferences such as ACM, SSP, and OSDI, I always take the entire research lab to go with me to attend this conference, no matter where the conference is, in Europe, Asia, or you know, US, Canada, or Australia. So I think the really the benefit is actually, you know, quite big. Okay. Unfortunately, we found I found actually over the many years, not only for my students, even just for me, when I was in graduate school, I found that attending conference, that experience is quite intimidating and lonely for students, and also newcomers as well. Because I think usually students are shy, especially STEM students, like engineering students are more introvert, and also students a lack of confidence. So it's really harder, it's really challenging for them to walk to people, walk to a senior researcher and to initiate a conversation. And very often they don't know what to talk about. Yes, I think many conference organizer, they will, you know, go extra miles to arrange some social activity like excursions, you know, maybe a tour at the museum, or maybe check this out, so people have more chance to talk with each other. But as we all know, organizers are super busy with all, you know, kinds of logistics. They have to take care of registration. They have to take care of the food is ready. They have to make sure, you know, like speakers show up. So they're really, really busy to, you know, make sure everyone, like, they feel like, oh, they can meet the people, right? And like, they don't feel lonely. So in this picture, this was actually me in graduate school, this lady who sits alone. It was actually, whenever I attend a conference, I either hang out or just like, you know, hang out with the people from Princeton, or I just sit there maybe in the auditorium on the big conference room alone by myself, right? Even when I was a faculty, as a junior faculty at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, I was still felt a bit intimidated, even though I know I needed to take the courage to walk to people, to introduce myself. But it took me several years to overcome this, and during my early career. So the question is like, I really, really want to make it easier for my own PhD students. So just like I'm an engineer, right? So computer science typically belong to engineering school. So how do we solve a problem? Is it just convert the problem into an engineering problem, right? Convert this social, you know, problem into an engineering problem. So that's why actually since 2003, when I was actually just beginning with my career as a junior faculty at the UIUC, I started this exercise before I taken all my students to a conference. So this exercise is called a Who's Who at this conference. And then every time, before I go to conference, I usually do this thing actually a couple weeks in advance. So the first step is to collect a list of authors, speakers, committee members. They're, probably very likely going to show up at the conference. Then step 2 is ask the PhD students, postdocs in my lab to study in advance about each person on the list. Okay, what do they look like? So that maybe when at the conference, they can recognize them. And what's the background, where they graduated from, who is their former advisor, right? And what's the bio, what's the representative work, what's the work they're most proud of, what's the most recent work, do they, which area, direction, which topic are they conduct research recently, right? Then after all this preparation, right before we leave for the conference, we'll do a quiz. So what I do is I show up a photo. They quickly need to tell me, kind of their name, what's the kind of, affiliation, where they work, and where they graduate from, then, and what is the representative work, and what do they work on recently, right? So this way is they really prepare. So when they go to conference, they can recognize those people, and then they can walk there to shake their hands, and then maybe ask them a question about the recent research, because they already did some preparation ahead of time. Or maybe they can say, hey, how do you like your current location? How is it different from your previous, where you graduated from that location, right? So this way they be able to actually prepare in advance, so we're not a bit awkward. Okay. And then, so at the end of the conference, and then I also ask each student to submit a post-conference report. Yeah, it's not actually, they don't need to write notes, but okay, what they have learned from this talk and that talk. I mean, I found most of the PhD students, they're pretty motivated about that. They want to know about other people's work, so they can know how to, for our own research. But they many times I found it's a bit of, kind of challenging. They need a little bit of extra push for them to actually meet the people, to shake hands of, other people. So I have this homework. It's basically that they have to, every day at the conference, they have to, shake the hands. This is to meet the 2 senior researchers every day. So at the end of the conference, they need to write a report, say whom they have met, what did they have talked about, what did they have learned. Okay, that's actually the report. So this actually kind of, homework, this report, under the pre-conference exercise, actually all my former students, they say it's really, really helpful, because it really prepare them ahead of time for the conference to talk with the people. Right, and that this actually has been play an important role. That's why actually 6 of my students have been able to landing, a really good job in academia. Of course, that they have a greater research track record, but still, you need people to know about your work. You need to actually, go to people, say, hey, what you did this and that. Okay, so that actually has been really. I'm trying, because I suffered through in my graduate school. I just, then I figure, I don't want my students actually suffer through, just by themselves, right? So I think so that's actually the pre-conference kind of exercise under the homework. So during actually 2009 and 2013, there are 3 trends that actually really kind of combining with our exercise. That is the reason actually why Hoover was born during that time. So the first trend, as you guys know, there, just during that time, smartphone become really pervasive, and there's so many mobile apps in Google Play, in iOS, Apple Store. So there are apps for almost for everything. Mobile apps for music, mobile apps for gaming, social networking, travel, even retailer. We order things just on our mobile phone these days. So this actually become really a kind of a disruption. But I think in that early time, there are some kind of mobile startup doing mobile apps for conferences. but it's only like this agenda, right? Try to save a paper. So now your mobile agenda, the agenda is in the mobile app, but it's actually, it doesn't go beyond that. I think it's, you really, it's more simply replace the paper brochure, right? Which is already, good, but I think the question is, can we do more? And then another trend is like with all this social network, all this digitalization of information, people information can easily be found on the internet, right? We have LinkedIn, we have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And then for researchers, we have a Google Scholar, right? Everyone's, the Google Scholar has, publication and also has a patent as well, the patent database. And then also many researchers, many people have a homepage, blog page. And then there's a news, some news also about maybe, some various leaders, and then also public records as well, right? All this information actually can be used if we use it effectively, can turn this random networking at an event to to become meaningful networking. So what do I call random networking? It's like when you're at a conference, you're standing in line for coffee, then you chat a little bit with the person standing next to you, right? I mean, if you're lucky, you met someone, maybe in the future you can collaborate with each other. You met someone who can maybe potentially inspire you or inspire each other. But, many times you probably just sort of say hi, chat a little bit about the weather, and then you'll never talk with each other again. But I think since we have so much information, it would be nice. Can we know actually, hey, we have a similar interest. Maybe actually at the final day of conference in the morning, we can all run together. Maybe we can do yoga together. Oh, we all come from the same university, graduate from the same university. Maybe we should have connected together, right? Maybe we all interested in AI. We should actually get together, talk about the things. So I think this is like, it would be nice to really, really help bring a group of people who have similar background and a similar interest at the conference together, right? I'm not saying organizers should do this. Organizers are already very busy, right? Is there any other way that maybe some platform can help, kind of attendee to, be organized, self-organized, follow the background and the interests. So the third trend is actually the young generation, like our students, our PhD students. They're really used to online networking, right? I still remember I think around 2008 to 2009, my own PhD student taught me how to, set up a Facebook account. So I think so they're really used to Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, all this, many, many tools. And so they actually spend, I think it's probably, they should spend more time to do face-to-face interaction, but kind of way this is what happening, right? So why not we actually leverage it to improve, to help our young people to build the professional network, to especially at the conferences, which is essential, really important for them actually their job search. So that was actually exactly around 2013. That's how, like my own actually kind of need. I was about to go to a conference. Then I was thinking, it would be nice actually we can turn this exercise into just some kind of app, right? So I pitched to my postdoc and like one senior, actually kind of PhD students, and they were getting interested. So they said, hey, we should do it. So in order to actually have a bit of clean cut, so we they all left actually we start a Hoover, okay? And since a little bit of code was also written before they left UCSD, so we also licensed get a license from UC San Diego as well. So that time is also happened to be our UCSD CS department has a 25 kind of anniversary. So it's organized as a conference. We invited a few really field like famous researchers to come to give a keynote talks. We also invite alumni from industry come back, and some of them give talks, or some other just attended the conference. And then it was a big celebration. So I pitched to the department. I said, hey, since we're computer science, at that time, if we, to be a computer science celebration, you have to have a mobile app, right? That time a mobile app is so cool. So, we need to have a mobile app for this anniversary conference. So I told them, actually, you don't need to pay any money. Hoover, that a team, which is a startup we just started, will build that for you. And the app will be even named, as CSU 25. So the department is actually pretty much on board. So then we basically actually talk with the organizer, get the feedback on this and that, and build the first version of Hoover. Okay, it was actually kind of that at the conference was a big success, and then just naturally attract like, oh, this like in different places are trying to approach us. Hey, can we also use your app for our events, for our conference? So our actually the third event was the TEDx San Diego, which is pretty good. So that time we add even more kind of features like social media and all those kind of things into the platform, right? So that's actually, since that time, even the San Diego Business Journal actually have us in the cover page, said high tech, because really it's, I was joking with with the people, this is really a tool built by geeks like us, computer science geeks, for ourselves to socialize and the network, because it's, really we're not that well trained to how network with the people and socialize with the people, but it's okay. We have a tool, so we build our own like a tools to be able to kind of do that. So that's actually the beginning, the birth of Hoover. And then also, since I have organized, several like conferences, I know the organizer very often need to wear many hats, right? We need to get sponsors, we need to handle registrations, we need to take care of this and that, have the design the, kind of publish the web page. So there are way too many things. So I asked the team, say, hey, can we also help the organizer take care of those logistics, right? So as this is that's why actually the platform today, we also have like a automatic generate web pages. So organizer can embed it into their own event website, right? And we also, can help organizer collect the speakers, exhibitor sponsor info. Otherwise there will be a lot of back and forth emails. And then also add like surveys, polls, registration, and also allow organizers to send announcement, even schedule announcements ahead of time. And there's many other features or more support for, kind of on the organizer side. Okay, to our surprise, actually we started as a way to help academic research conferences, but somehow it also gets into really a big surprise to us to get into like a corporate, like IKEA, L'Oreal, many of those such big corporate, they also use, Hoover, right, for the internal like events, like a leadership summit, like a sales, training, and all those kind of, events. And also there are many association like Expo, the science fair, the street fair, they actually use Hoover. So that was actually really is actually kind of quite a surprise to us. So then I think the product, we actually have this philosophy is like the engineering team need to understand the customer pain. So in the evening and during the weekend, is the engineering team actually directly support the customer and the users. So that's actually, we need a really, our goal is not just about making money. Actually, to tell you the truth, I'm still not paid a single salary at Hoover. The goal is really to build a useful platform, for attendee and for business organizers. So, to make their events, the conference actually, business more efficient and more effective. So we have actually, this is some recent review. It's like I wanted like share just a couple of them. So this is posted on September 1st on the left side. As you can see, the Cherokee Nation, the 100,000 people, they're using Hoover platform to celebrate their, kind of the new year virtually. It was really touching when I read this review, because this review said it's like the pandemic hit them really hard. Many people actually, business are died of this COVID-19. And during this tough time, it's so nice. They felt so nice to have this platform to help them, their family, to be able to celebrate this their tradition on kind of virtually. And the right side is from a speaker who shared this thing on LinkedIn, and he basically shared it's like it's not only he can give a talk, but also can network, organize a forum of discussion, and share documents to be able to actually do that virtually during this tough time. So we're really, really proud that during this tough time, we help people connect with each other, right? Kind of virtually. Actually, we started from face-to-face events, and this year we also business actually quickly converted to virtual to help help business conference. Help people connect to each other, help organizers to be able to continue run their events. In order to guide our product direction and also help our customer in planning virtual events, we conducted a attendee survey from 10 recent virtual events. About 221 attendees have responded to our survey. So the first question we asked them, what do you like about your virtual events? The number one thing they said is that they don't need to travel. Number two is that they like it that the sessions are all accessible at any time. Then the third thing is actually sessions, the talks are still informative, which is a good news. That means the talks actually, even it's virtual, it still carry the similar kind of amount of information as face-to-face talks. And surprisingly, actually free ticket or cheaper ticket is not like the number one thing what they like. So this is actually the percentage of people who like about this is actually much lower compared to the other three. Hopefully this can provide you some guidance in terms of how you should price your next virtual event ticket. So we also ask them which part of virtual events do they think it need further improvement. And basically, mainly actually half of those attendees really ask the organizer that to make the kind of the session video, the recording available for them to watch it again, or maybe to, if they miss the session, they could be able to watch it to catch up at a later time. And then that's actually why Whova actually added a video hosting. Of course, you don't need to use a Whova platform. You can just upload it at any platform and share with your attendee. So the number two and number three, they want is actually more network opportunity and more discussion and interactions. And then the later, like the other kind of things they want is like shorten the event to a day, and this is kind of other things. So I will not repeat one after another here. Hopefully these kind of survey have provide you a little bit of kind of guidance on how you should plan your next virtual events. So I think it's for moving on as academic, not as a co-founder of Whova, I really feel like there's a few things in my wish list as academic, as a teacher. So one is I felt like yes, virtual events have its limitation. It's still compared to face-to-face events, people don't feel they're connected that well. It's kind of ways the engagement, the people not that focused, the whole lot of distraction. I agree. But I think this experience of a virtual event definitely open up a new possibility, which is actually remote audience. So I think moving forward, I do see the value of hybrid events. For people who can't actually travel to the conference, definitely is much more effective, right? I would still go to the conference, if I have funding, right? I would still take a student go to the conference based on if I have funding, right? But for people who cannot travel to attend the conference face-to-face due to budget, maybe because they have young kids at home, they cannot travel, or maybe the job demanded them, they cannot just leave for 3 or 4 days. In this case, actually, be able to allow remote audience to be able to participate, still listen to the talk, and then also be able to network with each other, interact with each other, that is so valuable, right? Its business actually can increase the impact, kind of the conference. As I work in the university, which is as educator, it's really, really important if we can help really kind of pass the, education, all this kind of knowledge, all this thing to people, especially to people who cannot afford it, right? I think that is actually, it's really great thing that this virtual event experience, because it open up a door to this new possibility. So I just really feel that's actually kind of a, valuable, because I think in the recent few conferences, like, in computer science, the number of attendees actually tripled, because suddenly there's people in those, remote region or regions that they don't have so much budget, they are able to attend this year, right? That's a positive things during this tough time, right? And then the second list, second wish list, it's second thing in the wish list is actually kind of a, cross-event sharing and collaboration. What do I mean by that? It's every time I organize a conference, I have to bug like a previous organizer. Okay, what templates do you use? What kind of announcement you send? What survey you use? I always need to ask them, okay, can they share that with me? Right? Because this, research conference is kind of unique. Every year you're going to be a different organizer, and then there's like you have to redo this from scratch again. You have to have your own web page and all this thing. You have to redo everything. So the question is, can we actually enable data sharing, right? So all these templates, all this kind of web page, all those things, can you, the next person or other event organizers, can they just share them? Just like a GitHub, right? We have the GitHub, many open source code. Why all this data for event organizing cannot be open source, right? So that's actually, you guys know, we have started with this organizer community. We also collect a collection of many of those templates, those things, and share with our Hoover customers. Exactly, it's started from this, this thinking, right? We wanted the event organizer to be able to share things, templates, share all those things with each other. And additionally, we wanted them to be able to, collaborate with each other, promote each other events. For example, in San Diego, I know like we have a few universities, but each university have a few organizations, they do startup related events, right? And similarly, actually in this whole city, the San Diego city, we also have a few like nonprofit organizations like Startup Grant, Startup this and that, Startup Weekend, Startup Week. They also organize startup related events. So all these places actually can, cross promote each other's events, right, to get more attendees. Because this is a win-win for both. It's good for organizer to attract more audience, and it's also good for audience, the attendee as well. They will be able to be aware, these many related events. So that's also actually the number 2 kind of in my wish list. And number 3 is I feel like there's a whole lot, because the events collect a lot of data, right? So it would be nice to have more analytics and the insights. For example, every year we organize these conferences. Do we see the difference? What the things are changing, right? Who are the newcomers they come from, right? And then also what the topic from year to year, which topic is the harder one, how is it changed from year to year? And so this way is actually can help us, guide us to plan our next event. Okay, what topic we should cover in next event? Well, what other ways we can try to attract more attendees, right? So I feel like this reading need more analytics and the more insights from all those data. And of course, actually, kind of in a way, it's as Mr. Hoover is, basis one thing is attending engagement and networking. I still actually this is still remain as one of my passion and a goal. It's can we be able to actually provide more attendee engagement and networking? I found actually I call it like stress-free attendee engagement and networking, because actually talk with the strangers, it's always very stressful, right? Unless you have a really, really strong motivation agenda, then I'm probably going to reach out to people. Otherwise, we don't have strong motivation to talk with a stranger because it's really hard, right? So I think it would be nice to, without actually adding too much pressure on the organizer side, is there any way to be able to actually provide a stress-free networking engagement, right? It's some fun way to do that that actually people feel kind of connected. Maybe I can meet, someone, and we can start a research collaboration. Or I talk with someone, they give on some issue, they give me some kind of really good tips, right? I found that like if there's more effective way of doing this thing, I think the technology is getting more and more advanced. And there's a whole lot of things can apply to be able to actually, pair people wisely, and using like, for example, AI, using all this learning technique, we'll be able to really, really find out actually, who will be good to actually match with you, and who you are looking for, what kind of things maybe how we're going to bring people, together in a stress-free way. Right. So that's actually still one actually important direction or dream that I have constantly been thinking about is any good way, better way we can, help facilitate kind of engagement and kind of networking. So that's actually, and so I think the time this is up, and I think I really want to thank you all for the, listen to my talk. And feel free to ask questions or provide any input and feedback. And thank you, and have hope you enjoy the conference. Thank you.